If you have used Google Analytics 4, and I really hope that you have at this point, you might have seen these enhanced measurements in your GA4 property. In this video, I would like to talk about them, what they are, what they do, and whether you should or should not use them. So first, let's talk about enhanced measurements, what they actually are. Enhanced measurements is a way how you can get some additional events to your GA4 property. And the interesting thing about them is they don't require any additional implementation on your side. So if you create your GA4 property and your web stream, you will get the G-tag snippet that you can just install or hard code into your website, or use configuration tag if you are using Google Tag Manager, which is preferred way. So installing that G-tag snippet or configuration tag in GTM is all you need to do for these enhanced measurements to start collecting data. You can find enhanced measurements under the data stream settings. So select any web data stream that you have configured, and here they are, enhanced measurements. Currently there are 7 of them. We have a page views, scroll tracking, outbound clicks, internal site search, then we have form interactions, video engagement, and file downloads. Form interactions were just recently added, so at the time of recording this video there is currently 7 of them, but if you are watching later there might be even more. But the question is, should you use them? So let's break this down for pros and cons. So I think the biggest advantage of using enhanced measurements is that they're really easy to use. All you need to do is just select which of these interactions you want to track, enable them, and that's it. So I think this can be really valuable for really small businesses that they don't have the resources for dedicated analytics specialists and custom tracking, and they want to learn a little bit more about how users behave on their website. I think enhanced measurements might help with that quite well. But unfortunately, I think that is where the pros end. I personally think that if you are serious about analytics, you want to make sure that you have 2 components tackled, and that's you have a full control over what and when is being collected. The second component is that you try to improve the accuracy as much as possible. And I think these 2 are actually biggest cons of using enhanced measurements. So let's start with the customization/control. So you have pretty much minimal control over these. So let's say that you enable scroll tracking. But if you enable the scroll tracking through enhanced measurements, that scroll event will be firing only when users reach 90% of the website. So if you want to track different thresholds, let's say 25, 50, 75, and 90, you can't really do that. You can't really configure that in your enhanced measurement settings. Another good example could be enriching these events with custom parameters. So let's say you have a page view event and you want to send content group parameter or page type. Again, if you are using enhanced measurements, you don't have an option to do that. So really the control or the customization of these is really minimal. And the second issue with enhanced measurement is actually their accuracy. So when it comes to accuracy, it really depends on the event that we are talking about. So let's say the page views, scroll tracking, or file downloads, those tend to be quite accurate. But again, there might be some edge scenarios on the website that might not work as expected. But usually these are quite accurate. But when it comes to form interactions, that's where things get pretty complicated. So if you used form submit trigger in Google Tag Manager, you probably know what I'm talking about. So most of the time that trigger doesn't work. And why that trigger doesn't work is because how the forms are implemented on the websites. I believe that the specific code that is behind the form interaction tracking, so form submissions, is really similar to the one that is used in GTM, which will result into 2 possible options. Either the forms won't be tracked at all, or that you will have a lot of interactions that are tracked as a form submit, even though they are not, they didn't happen. Things like unsuccessful form submits will be tracked as a form submits, or you will have these ghost form submits that also happen on the websites quite often. And there's no really way how you can filter those out or disable this enhanced measurements for that. So even though the form interactions might be one of the most interesting ones, unfortunately it's quite inaccurate. So I wouldn't recommend using that one. So if you want to measure all these events from enhanced measurements, I would recommend to implement them on your own. You can still use this piece of documentation where they describe what events are being fired if certain enhanced measurement is enabled. And they also describe like what custom parameters are being sent with that event. If you really want to have a control and expand on them a little bit, implementing them through Google Tag Manager as a custom event might be a better way of doing things. So to wrap it up, I think the enhanced measurements are quite interesting, addition to Google Analytics 4, especially for smaller businesses that they don't have really resources for dedicated analytics person. They might be easy way to add a little bit more events to your GA4 property. But if you are serious about your analytics implementation, I would recommend not using them. If you really want those events to be collected, maybe you can inspire and take, event naming and the parameters that are being sent, but implement them yourself in GTM so you have full control over when they fire and what kind of parameters they carry. And that's all. See you in the next one.